Welcome to this episode. We have our friend and frequent guest, Michael Dragoo, and he's brought us this, I'm sure it's going to be a great recipe. What is it?
It's a fish pasty the Italian way.
This is going to be great. Thanks for joining us today. Okay, Michael, where is this particular recipe from?
I found this in the 1805 cookbook from Hannah Glasse.
Okay, great. And you've done this lot, so you know exactly how this is going to go, right?
This is one of the episodes that I think we're going. I tried it once. It was an abysmal failure, and I think it's so obscurely written that I think we could use this as one of those. What the heck did she mean?
Okay, so we're going to figure out what the heck's going on here. You want to read it out?
I sure can. So here's what the recipe encompasses: take some flour and knead it with oil. Take a slice of salmon, season it with pepper, salt, and dip into sweet oil. Chop an onion and parsley fine and strew over it. Lay it in the paste and double it up in the shape of a slice of salmon. Take a piece of white paper, oil it, and lay it under the pasty. Bake it, and that's it. It's best served cold.
So it says, I mean, the title again is Fish Pasty the Italian Way?
Right.
What do you think they mean by the Italian way?
When we were trying to research this, we found many modern references to in Italian cooking for pie doughs using oil and flour.
Okay.
They would introduce other things in addition to that, salts or
So
water,
probably
like
the Italian way both has to do with olive oil being used on the fish and then the dough being maybe a more Italian
I would say
paste.
the Italian way is using oil with the flour.
Okay.
She only calls for flour and oil.
Okay.
Doesn't say quantities. In the modern recipes, I was finding a general proportion of a cup of flour to a quarter cup of oil.
And you tried it with just flour and oil, right?
I tried it with flour and oil.
And how did it work?
Well, it wasn't elastic at all. It was.
Okay.
Today we would just either add milk or water without thinking, and that may be something that should have been assumed.
Okay,
just was assumed at the time. So, I'd recommend if you're going to do this at home to add a little water. Got 2 cups of flour.
Right. And is this just all-purpose flour here?
I used all-purpose flour because that's what I've got. This would be a gill or a half cup of oil. I'm going to sneak up on it.
Okay.
And when I tried this at home, it was feeling right. It just wasn't elastic. It was cracking. It was nice and soft, but it was just cracking. It clearly needed another ingredient. And honestly, so many of these recipes that we find when we try them, they just assume you knew what to do to get the thing started. And I have to start at face value just to, and then sneak up on it.
Works,
so this is what this is all about, just showing that it's okay if something doesn't turn out. You just have to keep sneaking up on it.
Okay, so you've got all the oil in.
Yes.
Time for a little bit of water.
I would put, once again, the recipe doesn't call for it, but I would put water in.
This is pretty
it's
pretty
not
crumbly. So
it's not behaving.
So really, we're looking for just enough water to hold this together.
Yes, sir.
And keep it from cracking.
Keep it from cracking. It's the only difference to what I did in my test. I think we're all set.
Okay. Set that aside.
Yep, I think we're just going to sprinkle some flour on our table and roll this out.
Okay, there you go.
And I found that with the oil, it seemed to be very sticky, so I think we should oil or flour this thing as well.
Oh, you want me to do it? No, I'll let you do it.
That way, if there's catastrophic
Yeah,
failure,
if it fails, I don't
blame
want to
the
be in
host.
charge
That's
of it.
I think we're done. This is less than a 1/4 inch.
Okay.
Once again, she doesn't say what to shoot for. There we go. Thank you.
Okay, so we've got this on
Oiled parchment. She says to
oil
oil
paper.
paper, and so we oiled some paper.
I'm going to set this aside and we can work on the...
We're going to work on the salmon next.
Okay. Okay.
Alrighty. She says to apply salt and pepper to the fish and then immerse it in olive oil. When I did that, when I did my prep, I lost my salt and pepper.
Yeah.
So I'm going to oil it first.
We're going to reverse that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I am. Just doesn't take much. You don't go nuts.
So a little bit of olive oil on both sides, and now we're just going to sprinkle...
We're going to salt, pepper. My hands are yucky, so if you want to get salt around
both sides.
and pepper.
Pepper. Lots of pepper.
Yep. Well, yeah. And some minced onion.
And you want that on top here too.
Yep, the whole thing. We're just gonna put
and
that
parsley.
And parsley, yes, sir.
And probably, if we were doing this right, a little nutmeg too, right?
And we need more onion and
Oh,
parsley.
you need more onion and parsley on the other side.
Yep.
Okay.
Alrighty.
And there we go. That looks beautiful.
Yep.
And we're gonna just put this in the middle, right?
We're just going to put this on the side.
Oh, yeah.
And wrap it around, wrap it over.
Okay.
It's just like a pocket sandwich. And we're just going to pinch it around the edges.
And the directions actually say in the shape of the slice.
Well, yeah, and the slice,
salmon.
yes. So we're just enveloping the piece of flesh here. And we want to do a good job of pinching the edges of this because in her recipe, she says this should be eaten cold and it can be stored up to a month. So this, I need to keep the steam in as this thing is baking. And also we just need to keep the air out. So,
and if we have any little cracks, we want to patch those up so they're nice and tight.
She says bake it. She doesn't say how long.
Okay.
She doesn't say at what temperature. In my experimenting, 425 for 30 to 45 minutes got me a nice brown crust on the outside. And the thing is steaming on the inside. So.
Okay, so I'll put this into a hot oven.
Yep.
And we will see what it turns out like.
Very good.
So this, it looks beautiful. She actually references that these should be eaten cold, or they can be eaten cold.
Yep.
And that you can store them for quite a while. She says up to a month. I don't think we would do that today. But obviously, I don't, this looks elegant and beautiful. And in fact, we brushed the crust to make it brown up a little bit extra.
With some milk, right?
Yeah, there's just a little bit of milk on this to make it brown up beautifully.
But it's a pasties, a pocket sandwich.
Yeah.
We're from where I'm from, we're familiar with it in the Upper Peninsula from Finland. So I'm guessing.
I guess we're just going to pick this up and eat it because it's a pocket kind of food.
It's steamed in this thing. The onions released moisture.
You could definitely store this and not worry about it breaking up.
Yep.
If you carried this, in a pocket or something, it would hold up. But the crust is not, it's not a bad crust at all. Wonderful tasting. So this is a wonderful Hannah Glasse recipe. Obviously, it's got an Italian take from, at least in this English cooking. So it's an interesting recipe for that aspect. And I think I think we definitely could maybe get a little bit more of those kind of Italian flavors, which I think she was trying to get at.
Well, and adding the oil when you're making the dough and having that be the main softening agent is what was interesting. And Kevin and I both had trouble researching recipes for the oil. We found modern Italian recipes for the oil introduction. So
wonderful flavors. A really interesting one, a different take. So I'm happy to see this one, especially a pocket sandwich with fish in it. That's a little interesting. So wonderful. Thank you, Michael.
Oh, sure.
So for bringing this up. And Michael, tell me about, you've showed up on a different show here recently. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, the manager of Martin Station, Billy Heck, had an opportunity to have an episode of Bizarre Foods with Andrew Zimmern filmed there. They were doing a Daniel Boone's Wilderness Trail episode, and I was allowed to participate. He asked me. I drove 8 hours to get there, and the only I had to use ingredients that they either brought with them when they came to that site to build the fort, or they could have found in the area. So I used local ingredients, and just had a great time. So.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michael, so much for
much.
These recipes. Excellent, and such wonderful flavors. And I want to thank everyone out there for your wonderful support, whether you support us by watching the videos, where you financially support us on Patreon, or you go to the website. Really, I want to thank you for your amazing support, sharing the videos, all that. So I'm just so thankful. And I really want to thank you today for coming along with us as we savor the flavors and the aromas of the 18th century.